Okay, it's Fortune Cookie 45LC coming to you from the Hot Lead Zone Express. And hello to all the shooters and reloaders out there, and 3 Circles passengers and members. What we got here is a reloading project that has been requested by a member while I was on vacation, and I didn't catch the name and I can't find the communication. So whoever you are out there, thank you for requesting this. Loading the 38 short Colt with black powder or black powder substitute. That's what we're going to do. And here are our components. We have here 26 rounds of brand new Starline 38 short Colt brass, CCI small pistol 500 primers. We're going to use the Hodgdon 777 3FG. It's got a little more power than 2FG. Punched out cardboard wads, just punched out of a piece of thin cardboard. We're going to use Matt's bullets, 147 grain hollow points. But let's talk about the 38 short Colt a little bit first. 38 short Colt was developed right after the Civil War, when the rage was cartridges, self-contained ammunition. And so the 38 short Colt was developed, and it was a heel bullet, which means that the case diameter was 38 caliber, and so was the bullet. It was only later on that the bullet was made to fit inside the case, so it became smaller than 38 caliber, but it kept the 38 caliber name. The diameter came to 357 inches or 358. So the bullets were actually 358. And of course it was loaded with black powder for many years until the turn of the 1900s. But by then the 38 short Colt had given way to the 38 long Colt, which is a little longer. And then in 1898 the case became even a little longer. It became the 38 Special. 1935, the same case was made longer to become the 357 Magnum. And then we have the 357 Remington Maximum. So the 357 Maximum is actually the great-great-grandson of the 38 short Colt. Now you might think the 38 short Colt is totally obsolete and useless today, but that is not true. The 38 short Colt is actually favored by some IDPA competitors who load to minor power factor with the 38 short Colt, giving them ammunition that's more compact and easier to eject and load. So the 38 short Colt is still in existence today, and Starline makes brass for it, and Remington loads at least one load for the 38 short Colt. That is, if you can find it. Today we're going to load the 38 short Colt with a case full of Hodgdon 777 powder behind that Matt's 147 grain hollow point bullet. We're going to prime our cases with the Lee Ram Prime. And you see that's the Ram Prime right there with the 38 short Colt shell holder. So we manually place a primer into the primer cup here. Then we put a case into the shell holder, and then we run the Ram Prime up like this. That goes right up underneath there and seats the primer with an amazing amount of feel and precision. Not bad for a $20 item. And of course next we have to go ahead and neck expand and mouth flare the case. Now, none of this brass needed to be resized because it's new factory brass. And when you run the case into the neck expander and mouth flaring die, you see there's actually some expansion going on of the case neck. So the resizing was fine. Now we adjust the mouth flare so that the bullet can enter the case mouth, as you see. Now, just because the 38 short Colt has a case very similar to the 9mm Parabellum, we cannot load anywhere near the pressure of the 9mm Parabellum because the revolvers that chamber the 38 short Colt are old and will not stand the higher pressure of 9mm. We only have 12 to 13,000 psi that we can work with the 38 short Colt. Now that doesn't mean we can't load to higher pressure in modern guns like modern .357 Magnums that will readily chamber this round, or even 38 special revolvers that are modern. That's where the IDPA shooters can get away with loading this to minor power factor. If you have an old revolver in 38 short Colt, you cannot load anything like higher or modern pressures. In fact, the black powder loads would be very appropriate for the 38 short Colt. Bear in mind that this bullet is also on the heavy side. You'll need to use lighter bullets if you have an old revolver and use black powder loads. So it turns out that Lee's half cc dipper perfectly fills the powder space behind the bullet, including the wad, so that we'll go ahead and charge all these cases with half a cc of Hodgin 777 powder 3FG. Now these wads were just punched out of regular cardboard stock using the 38 special case as a punch. And they work very well. They seal the powder charge so that when you turn it over, no powder falls out, as you can see. We're ready to seat bullets. Now, of course, we measured the distance from the wad to the top of the case mouth, and that happens to be very perfectly the same as the distance from the base of the bullet to the top of the crimping groove. So that means when we seat the bullet to the top of the crimping groove, that the bullet base will be right against the powder charge. It's very important with black powder and black powder substitutes that there's no airspace between the base of the bullet and the powder. Now when you're seating bullets, the key word is gentle, because you got a hollow point lead bullet that's very soft, and you want to just gently seat that until the case mouth is right even to the top of the crimping groove, and there's no damage to the hollow point or any part of the cast bullet, as you see. Now, of course, after seating the bullet, we back out the seating stem to the point where there's no more seating, and then we lower the die body so that the die body can crimp the case mouth right into that crimping groove. And this is what it looks like. We go ahead and take one of our rounds that the bullet's been seated but not crimped, and then there's the crimp. And we just keep crimping them all until they're all done. Well, these rounds are so clean, they didn't even need to be wiped off. They're ready to go ahead and box for the range or field. Now, back in the day, the 38 short Colt had relevance because any kind of abdominal or belly wound was fatal. They didn't know how to treat those kind of wounds. So these rounds were much feared. And in fact, if a shooter back in 1870, they would want to get a hold of it. And today, the IDPA shooters will tell you the 38 short Colt still has a good amount of service that it could give us. So take care. We'll go ahead and shoot these at the range. Bye for now.